now Charlotte in the final minute before first half stoppage time. Vargas, decent ball! Capetti saved it in! Charlotte has their goal!
And doesn't he take this well as Vargas said he has magic in his boots at times. A little bit of step over, sends Yedlin one way and whip. Capetti makes no mistake, gets right in between the center backs for Inter Miami. That's exactly what Charlotte have needed from their designated player, number 9. Come up with the big moments, rise above the rest, and stick the ball in the back of the net.
Welcome, friends. How is everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Charlotte Soccer Show. How is everybody doing? It is great to be here with y'all. Happier times. Last night, we got to open with a nice clip of Enzo Copetti getting his goal, and it's the one we know he's been waiting for a long time. I want to thank everyone for showing up. We're doing a live stream. We have kind of dialed back the live streams regularity in the second half of the season, mostly because we've just been doing other things, you know. I've been doing other things, so you know, we've been out there, we've been in the channels, but we're back in a live stream because this is a special week for Charlotte Soccer Show. We're doing daily content. John Hayes has busted out a couple solo episodes, getting everyone day by day. We did a larger preview before the Miami match together, and now it's time for me to hold up my end of the bargain. Really, Johnny's been killing it with the solo daily episodes to sort of keep you paced along the way on this historic week. And now it's my turn. I don't have Johnny with me. Unfortunately, I wanted him to be here. We do have the Tifos. The Tifos are in the house. Shout out Bridget. Don't want to rewatch that. You don't want to rewatch Copetti's goal? I don't understand why. It was so wonderful. Probably one of the very few high points of last night. Last night was like a meat grinder. Even when we were winning, it didn't feel great. But Jorge, shout out Jorge Torres. Starting off with a big sigh. Yeah. Let me give another one just to get it in there, because that's how I feel for sure. We find ourselves on the outside looking into the playoffs. Remember, if we had won that game, if we'd beaten Miami and Fort Lauderdale, if we had beaten the Fort Lauderdale Flamingos, as we like to call them, we'd be waking up in playoff position this morning, but we didn't. We're stuck down in 12th place still with a chance. We still have a chance. And I want to play something for you. I posted this on our YouTube earlier today, and I'm going to play it for you now before we bring in our special guest. This is an episode flashback. This is a Charlotte Soccer Show flashback. I want to travel with you, if you will, in your minds back to December of 2022. A few days before Christmas, Johnny and I got together at Community Matters Cafe, one of the best places in town. We love to do our coffee casts there. And it was right after the schedule release came out. And about 30 or 40 minutes into that episode, this happened.
The last thing that I'll circle on the schedule that really sticks out to me is that final match of the season on Decision Day against Inter Miami
at home,
Saturday, October 21st.
And you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. We're wondering if another global icon such as ourselves might be there. And we're talking, of course, about Leo Messi. You said on the last episode you don't think he's coming to MLS this year, but there's still a chance.
There is.
Could you imagine if Messi's coming to Charlotte on Decision Day and it's going to affect the playoff race one way or the other, that we might get 74,000 for that game?
Do you want to hear how big of a prick I am?
I would love to.
If we have 74,000 people on Decision Day and we're playing Inter Miami and Messi's on the pitch and he's being cheered and the fans love him, I'm going to be pissed off.
I agree.
Because that will happen. And
right.
Does Messi deserve the love and respect? Of course he does.
But not when he's coming to face us. Definitely. I don't need to see any Messi fanboys in the stadium. That'd be like going to a Panthers game where you go and you see like half the stadium is full of the other team's shirts. Like that would not be good. For sure.
You're talking about like that almost happened recently. You know?
Yeah, I think it happens every freaking weekend. So that was then. That was 6 months or so before Messi even signed with Inter Miami. We saw it coming. The rumors were swirling. And so I don't want to see any Messi fanboys in Bank of America Stadium on Saturday, but I did bring a Messi fanboy here tonight. I want you guys to all say hello to Chris from the Battered Herons podcast. Chris, what's up? You had me sit in on your guys' cast back in the Leagues Cup, and I had so much fun. Full disclosure, I was a little tipsier that night than I am right now, but I'm still here to have a good time. I had a great time going at it with you guys and like trying to fight the Miami fans in the chat and stuff like that. Thank you for returning the favor and coming to our show, my brother.
No, thanks for having me on the program. And look, our battered fam loved you on the show, so that's one thing that they really look forward to is having a guest on. And you were for sure one of the top 5 guests that we've had on our show by
top
far.
3? Can I get top 3?
No, for sure. You're top 3.
Okay.
The
top
only
2?
person
Top 2, not 2. Top 2, not 2. Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe two. I got to kick out Tommy from Atlanta. So
okay.
Tommy,
well, hey, maybe
guys.
me and Tommy can do a battle episode next year or something like that. Who knows?
Yes,
but
for sure.
You're already popular, Chris. We got Jorge Torres. He says this guy is dope. You just barely showed up, and all of a sudden this guy is dope. That's got to feel good.
What's up, Jorge? Everything good, man?
Jorge is a legend. He's a photographer who takes some of the sickest pics of Charlotte FC guys all over the place. You can find those on his Instagram. Jorge T Photo Vid, I believe, is the username if you need it. Jorge, you can post that in the chat if I got it wrong, and I'll put it up. Thanks for everybody being here. I wanted to talk a little bit about last night's game, Saturday's game. What's it like? And I want to get a quick perspective from you. I've got some clips to play. I've got some reaction to talk about, but what's it like for you, Chris? Because we talked about this when I visited your show. You're an OG Inter Miami fan. Like you were making the drive to Fort Lauderdale like way before, back when Messi was still living in Paris, France. So
that's right.
What's it been like? Because like we're all MLS fans, we're Charlotte FC fans, and we've seen this issue of like our league, this thing that we love, sort of get more popular, but because of a reason that was like an outsider brought in, right? Like Messi is adding more attention to the league, but some of us might feel a little territorial. I would imagine it's even more so for an OG Miami fan like yourself.
Well, and before I answer your question there, Danny, I got to fill my Messi quota. Messi. So just in case anybody from Inter Miami is watching, I got to fill the Messi name quota.
It's going to help our SEO for sure, hopefully.
Yes. So essentially what happened is obviously a lot of our fan base did get very territorial, because you have a lot of people that are coming just based. I mean, there's literally a supporters group that was developed only based on Messi. And that's kind of damaging. I understand that they're huge fans of this one player, but I see that a lot of fan bases, especially in the MLS, they're very prideful of the badge, right? And so the idea is, of
course, let's go,
Exactly. And so you have a lot of the fan base that has been very territorial in the beginning. They've been a little bit more comfortable, but that's because a lot of the Messi fans are starting to understand, hey, if you're going to sit with La Familia, you can't be wearing any Argentina robe. You can't be coming with a PSG jersey. You need to come with some Inter Miami kits, Inter Miami colors, and you need to represent for the badge, not just for the man.
Is that it? Is Jorge's asking, is that the giant number 10 flag that we see there at Drive Pink?
That could be. And their mascot is like an alligator or a crocodile, which I don't understand where the reference versus Messi versus a crocodile or alligator.
Florida thing?
I mean, look, yeah, it could be. I mean, look, to each his own, and they're big supporters of Messi, and I get it. I mean, there's so many people that are getting into this league and into this sport just because of Messi. So the one thing that I do appreciate about it is that they're sort of helping the American fans attach themselves more to the league, and a lot of other fans that weren't American, soccer fans really put some attention to the Major League Soccer.
I think that's all true. But I do think if we watched we've talked enough about Miami here for a second that I'm going to do something real quick and just play. Let's get it back to Charlotte FC. Stand by.
La pelota para Josviak, le gana la espalda, mete el servicio el polaco y está.
Man, happier times for sure. That was with the Kerwin Vargas goal that put us up 2-0 on Miami. Things should have been a lot better after that, but we couldn't hold it out. But if you notice the end of that clip, the reason I played that clip right there is because you heard the chanting at the end, Vargas, Vargas, Vargas. And the fact of the matter is, man, it was a little weird. Like, I was really hyper-focused on the game, and I was super nervous, and I was pissed that we drew, and I wanted to win. But there was part of I was out of the corner of my eye. I was like, man, that's some empty seats there in that Miami stadium. What, like, La Familia was going hard. When they cut to La Familia, y'all were going strong. I got no beef with La Familia, but the casuals did not show up tonight.
Well, and I'll tell you this much before I answer that question. That guy Kerwin Vargas, he could play soccer, huh?
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you, he juked Yedlin out of his shoe.
That
play.
That's like an annual tradition. Jordi Reyna put Yedlin into the dirt last year on a move in the box, and so Kerwin just had to keep it up. But yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah. Now, as far as the fan base is concerned, showing up to yesterday's game, it's kind of a catch-22 in terms of like the location of where Dry Pink Stadium is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's such a buzz behind the new park that's being built actually in Miami-Dade County.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is that this park, Dry Pink, I mean, it's literally, I live in a southern part of South Florida. It takes me about an hour and 10 minutes to get to the park. And out of Miami-Dade, a lot of people take somewhere between 30 to 40 minutes to get there. Now, top that off with on a Wednesday random game for a game that really doesn't mean much to the team.
Right. It's already eliminated from playoffs. Yeah.
You know, on a Wednesday now. And another thing that was different is this Wednesday game was at 8:00 at night.
Yeah.
Usually Wednesday games are at 7:30, but they started it at 8. We're talking about our show. We ended up doing a live show right after. We ended up doing it like at around 10:20. And if we would have left the stadium and gotten home, we wouldn't have started until midnight.
Right.
So, you know, when it comes to Wednesday games, it's very tricky because even when Messi was playing, there was still a couple empty seats. Wednesday games typically don't.
Is that because of prices or just
Well, it's a little bit
Wednesday.
of both. It's a little bit of both. It's the prices and it's Wednesday, and people that have their tickets, they just didn't go because of Wednesdays. I usually chalk, and yesterday I'll chalk it up to it was just late on a random Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Kids got to go to school the next day. I wish there would have been a better turnout, but I can't say much because I didn't go for personal reasons. If not, I would have been out there myself.
Right.
But Wednesday games really suck. It really
well,
sucks.
hey, like we said, La Familia was holding it down. The rest of the casuals can whatever. I saw they did a cutaway to Beckham in like the first few minutes of the game, and Victoria Posh is like sitting there next to him, and then all the rest of the cutaways to Beckham. The rest of the game, Victoria, she was gone. She was out of there. You know, it was random kids sitting next to him after that.
And La Familia showed out really, really in a big ferocious fashion, especially considering that Messi didn't play. Right. Yeah. I think La Familia stands out even more because they want to dedicate it to the badge. And a lot of times you have fans that are just going there to see Messi. But La Familia really stood out yesterday because of the simple fact that, you know, Messi didn't play yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, all I can say is it's going to be a lot different on Saturday. We're talking 60,000 plus going to be in the building. They opened up the upper deck. They're still selling tickets. There's rumors of will Messi play, will he not? Sort of, he said he'll play. Tata says no. Tom Bogert says yes. The league, you imagine, wants. My conspiracy theory, you tell me this. They got the whole Messi documentary, Messi Comes to America thing. I think they need like a final scene. They need that final scene of like Messi like checking into a huge full stadium and like saluting the crowd. So like even if he doesn't start, I'm pretty sure he'll get a cameo just for the documentary purposes, if for nothing else. But what's a Miami fan's perspective? I assume you want to see him play just for the fun of it. Do you expect him to, or do you not want him to?
Well, and listen, that's the question of the night, right? I mean, that's the question of the week. As fans, before Messi played against Peru, we didn't expect him to play any game the rest of the season. Yeah. I mean, we literally thought that he was just going to sit out the rest of the season.
Thought he was done too, yeah.
And to be honest, for us, it would be an advantage for him to not play, get as best in shape as you can. Next season, it's time to rock and roll.
Right.
But
You don't want to come shred your knee on that Bank of America Stadium fake grass, right? You know.
Well, and you have that whole deal of turf, but the fact that he went and played for Argentina against Peru, scored 2 goals, and came out willingly and said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to play on Saturday." It kind of turned the fan base a little bit because it's like, wait, you haven't played for us in a couple games. If you would have played, we probably would have had a better opportunity at making the playoffs. And here you are now willing to play on your last game of the season on turf.
Yeah.
So it's a little unsettling to see what's happening. I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play at least 20, 30 minutes because MLS needs to cash in as much as they can. And we're talking about 60,000 plus people that are going there.
And they need to have some type of Messi experience, I feel like, for sure. Our club, Charlotte FC, has sold a lot of tickets. Not so much recently, but a couple months ago, they were selling tons of tickets for this game as like the Messi show, you know. And you can't really blame them, but unfortunately, injuries are real. I would say this: if you're a Miami fan, if you're starting to be a little like, ooh, is this guy Messi really all in or not? I'm not sure. That's only going to grow next year. Those feelings aren't going away anytime because I think you're going to have more of these weird, like, wait a minute, is he really all in on this with us? Who knows? But we'll see.
And it's a business at the end of the day, right? I mean, the MLS is going to try to do whatever they can in order to be able to have as much advantage in ticket sales and concessions. So, and I'm not saying that Charlotte is a terrible fan base because you guys are not. You guys show out for your team. But you know that there's going to be a sprinkling of other people that are going to go just for the experience of seeing Messi. And they want to cash in on that. You know, it's good for the league, in my opinion.
If you show up in my supporter section as a Messi fanboy, it's hands.
You're getting
it's hands. I got no other choice. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I want to say thanks to Ben Petito for being in the chat, throwing out a lot of good lucks. Great to see you last night at EPR, Ben, to watch the game. He says tickets are selling well again. That's good to hear. Ben also says, "Fuck y'all, Miami. Wednesdays at the bank are always fun." I don't know why none of y'all decided to show up to Drive Pink Stadium last night, but we always have a good time.
Wednesdays.
We're beneficiaries of the fact that our stadium is right uptown. It's like, as much as I hate playing in an NFL stadium, and I wish we had soccer specific, I would rather have NFL right uptown than soccer specific an hour away.
I agree.
Sure.
We do love Wednesdays. I mean, I love going to Wednesday games.
I don't know.
Games,
it sounds like, you say you love Wednesdays, and then I look at the stadium, and I'm like, do they?
Well, I love Wednesdays. I don't know if everybody else loves Wednesdays, but I love Wednesdays.
Well, you're OG. We already established that. Yeah,
it's a more intimate feel. So,
yes, I agree. I like when we had the rain game against Orlando. It was a midweek rainy home game against Orlando. Not that many people were there, and I got to get up like real close without having to with elbow room. Like I could like get to the front of the supporter section without having to fight anybody out. It was great, and I loved that. So I don't want to be in a tiny crowd, but I never mind being in a big crowd. I never want to be in a huge. I'd rather have a medium crowd than a huge. If I'm
for sure. Well, I mean, I do see you guys filling the stadium, and you guys better rock and roll because I'm kind of terrified of you guys in terms of like how you guys feel because last game, you guys kind of had it in the bag. In the last 15 minutes, I don't know what happened, but the coach just didn't take advantage.
Yeah, I think that's where we'll go here. We'll go for a few more minutes here, and I'm going to get into a section of this podcast. Now, this is very sensitive. This is like extremely delicate and tricky for me because you're a great guy. I like you, Chris. I like you. That's not at stake here. But you are the enemy. You're in Tu Familia, not Mi Familia, if you know what I'm saying, you know? So like, it's good to have you here. You're my friend, but I'm about to do something here because there's been all this aftermath sort of in the wake of the horrible conceding in the 84th minute and once again conceding late. Charlotte has dropped 25 points from winning positions to lead the league. I believe it was 9 points after the 84th minute since August that we've dropped, which would be crucial points, obviously. So it's all problematic. Our coach, Christian Latanzio, was asked about the dropped points after the match last night. And to be honest, his answer left a lot to be desired. So I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to come out and be really critical, but you're not allowed to criticize Charlotte FC per se specifically. However, you are someone who experienced a coach firing earlier this year. You guys did say goodbye to Mr. Neville. So I want to hear maybe a little bit in generic terms about how you feel about the movement to get rid of a coach and what it's like to like know that these are human beings, but it's a business and all that. So here's what Laddie had to say, and then I would take your reaction to it.
I know hindsight is 20/20, but when you give up a late goal in such an important game, is there anything you wish you had done different tactically, or is this, you guys are who you are structurally, and things happen?
Yeah, there is always this question is always for, but even if you consider after 75, there is always could I have done better? Should I have done better? Maybe there is always something that can be done. For sure, there is that question, but I took the decision that I thought they were the best at the time, and but every time we put the emphasis on this, I'm getting tired of this. We want to grow as a team, but you don't help us to grow. We're asking always the same question the last minute. Instead of seeing that the team plays, come here against Miami, plays a good game. We always talk about you concede the last 5 minutes. We want to have a big mentality, but the big mentality comes also from the environment, And instead, always this putting the pressure on the guys as they concede. Yeah, there are teams that they concede 4 in the first 10 minutes or in the first half. Against a team like that. So we have to grow as a mentality as well, all of us. Also with the question we ask, instead of looking at the good things that these guys do on the pitch and play toe-to-toe against Jordi Alba, Busquets, and all the great players that they have, we always put the emphasis that we concede late.
Why is everyone talking about how we concede late and don't win games? How dare you ask me about that? Like, I can't believe it. Like, I'll tell you, Chris, it didn't make any of us happy. Bridget sums it up. This really makes me angry. I'm sorry I had to play that for you, Bridget. I did not mean to trigger you. I don't want to ruin the rest of your night. I know it's getting close to bedtime for a lot of us here. So, Ben, the only thing that he leaves out here is a Real Madrid reference, which I did think he said earlier in the press conference, just not in that clip. So sorry, Ben, but team mentality comes from the environment. Is he blaming the fans? I just don't get it. It was a rough answer. I think he probably would regret it for sure. He definitely, it was to quote 311, misdirected hostility. That's what you got. See, he got mad at the reporter for asking an obvious question because obviously he's mad that his team conceded again and leads the league and drop points from winning positions and things like that. So there's that. Let me get your reaction. I got another thing to show in this whole discussion, but let me get your reaction to hearing that. How would you feel if you heard that from a coach? Where was the dividing line? What did Gary Neville say that made you just be like, I'm out on this guy?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about it is Neville. Phil Neville.
Sorry, I got the wrong Neville. I got the wrong.
Yeah, it's okay.
Neville, as always.
They both look the same.
Yeah.
So with Phil Neville, what ended up happening with him is the one thing I have to give him credit for is that he takes a lot of accountability. He takes a lot of responsibility for what happens with the team, both good and bad. Even when it's good, he kind of sheds the good and he gives it to the players. And when it's bad, he takes it all in. So that's one thing I got to give him a lot of props for. But this answer that Christian had, I can understand why the fan base would get angry because I thought the same thing that Ben Petito said. Is he blaming the fans? I think it's outrageous that he said that. I mean, and that's not even me looking from the outside in as an opposing fan. That's just as a fan in general. Right. I mean, you as a coach of a team.
That transcends team sport. Like you wouldn't want to hear an NFL coach say that. You wouldn't want to hear a baseball coach say that. It's just like, yeah. I
mean, well, that's the one thing you don't want to do is alienate your fan base, right? You can put it on, I just don't have enough players, or I don't have enough talent, or I haven't given enough time and quality to this team. But that response, it strikes pretty strongly, and that's one thing that I can agree that Phil Neville never did is he took a lot of the responsibility, and it's unfortunate because as a coach you kind of got to take the heat when it's hot, and at this point I guess he just couldn't be able to handle that question. I mean that wasn't even a slider,
right? Yeah, Carol Rogers, the local reporter, beat writer who asked that question. She's like apologizing as she asks the question, almost. It's crazy. But I mean, I think earlier in the season, Laddie was more taking accountability, like you say, with Neville. And I think as it's gone on and as the problem has not been fixed, and the points continue to be dropped, it just gets more and more frustrating. And again, I think it's just he's mad about the result and taking it out on the reporter. But the real issue, I think, is with CL, and I'm speaking to our fans here now, and I'd love to hear in comments what people think about this theory. Christian Latanzu is a very cool guy. He's a good person. I'm not mad about him, but it's strictly business. I think he's not the best coach for this team because I think he's a player development specialist. He's made our players better. He's just not the guy that you want selecting your match day side and being the in the moment substitutions. I just don't think he's a head coach, but he's a really good soccer coach. And I think the issue, what makes him not a head coach, is that he cares more about the idea of a well-played game of soccer than the result. Like, he would rather lose pretty than win ugly, I think, if that makes sense. And so that's a problem for me, you know? Yeah.
It is total sense. I mean, it is a problem. And just from like a sports perspective, I think that the angle that he took was just a little irresponsible. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And he was mad. We're not going to hold him to account too much for that. But then our boy Len Cornacchia, love Lenny C. He makes a great point. Separate the comments from the performance. You know, the comments, I said to my buddy John, I was like, I wasn't mad about that result until I heard this press conference. You know, I wasn't upset until I heard these excuses. But I do agree that we have a game left, and we can't. It's not going to help Charlotte fans at all. No offense, Miami. You know, but y'all aren't playing for anything. You're playing the spoiler role. So like, it's us. It's on us to like get in there and like go for it. And we can't. It would suck to have the team show up with no energy at the opening kick because everyone's all pissed about, you know, some dumb shit that the coach said at a press conference that no one really cares about. But you know. But Len is right, and Bridget, Bridget McCall, she hosted the Queen's Pitch podcast, another podcast in the Charlotte FC space. She says she invented the term "laddie daddy." She's probably the first person to popularize "laddie daddy," and now it's on T-shirts everywhere in town. So there you go. But Jorge says he's a people's coach. G. Franco, my boy Frankie Tonk Man, says that he was a CL holdout for a while, but he's given up. They say, people always say, can a Tavares swap may work best? Jose Tavares is the coach of our MLS Next Pro team, Crown Legacy, and everyone's like, yeah, heck, how come Jose can't coach the first team? But beyond, here's what I want to show to our Charlotte fans, and this is a moment from the match. I showed the clips of the 2 goals earlier that were great. I'm not going to show the concessions. They were horrible defending on both. Neither of them should have been scored. And if the dumbasses in VAR could get their shit together and perform an obvious fucking review in 30 seconds instead of 5 minutes, then there wouldn't have even been 5 minutes of stoppage on that Kamal Miller handball penalty that wasn't. It's like you could see in 2 seconds it wasn't a handball, and they wasted so much time reviewing it.
Absolutely.
Pissed me off so bad. Sorry for swearing, but not really. But here's where here's the moment of the match for me where like I was like destroyed. And you're going to be like, wait, when you see this clip, you're going to be like, wait, what is Bram so pissed about? But we'll talk about it.
La recupera de Andre Yelin, ahora mal parada la de cuidado con esta, pasa ahora de Andre en la barrida, lateral prefiere la tranquilidad de tener la tenencia de la pelota, mejor Charlotte, deja el encargo para Nathan Byrne. Está fundido Charlotte, ¿no?
Sí, y para jugarse la vida de aquí al sábado, no lo veo bien. Va a rotar algunas piezas, sobre todo piezas que se recuperan, pero también aparecerá fresco el Inter Miami.
What are we doing?
You guys
what are we
transition.
doing? It's the 90th minute. You're tied at 2, and you must win. And you get a throw in, and the team captain runs to grab it and get it back into play. And the coach yells at him from the side, no, drop it down. Let the fullback come up and take it. Nathan Byrne slowly just marches up, you know. I'm like, I was dying we were watching at the bar at Elizabeth Parlor Room here in Charlotte, and I'm like dying. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, go throw the ball in. What are you guys doing? You wasted 30 seconds here. We don't have many to spare. So, and apparently that was the coach telling them to slow it down. So I don't understand, like, beyond just the post-game press conferences, when it comes to Laddie Daddy, I'm just wondering where's the urgency and the desire for results, you know?
Well, and I think the hardest part to see out of that clip is that you guys were in strong transition.
Mm-hmm.
So not throwing it in as quickly as possible, not only are you soaking up minutes, but then you're losing the advantage that you guys had.
Right. We had numbers and we're almost out of time. Like, I don't understand. Like, I get you don't want to lose the game. I get you want to save at least the point, even though, as the announcers said over and over again, there's a negligible difference between 1 point and 0 points here. Like, it gives us a slight, like, it gives us one more open door scenario that really was a long shot anyway. So the draw was pointless. The throw in was horrible. And I hated it. I hated every single bit about it. And as Bridget says, the desire to win is lacking. I think Laddie Daddy, all he wants to do is say, see soccer played the way he thinks it should be played. Win or lose doesn't matter. And that's not good enough for the supporters whatsoever.
You guys are going to need some help on decision day. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's what we'll talk about here, is to just finalize it. The scenarios are pretty simple. You got Montreal playing at Columbus. You got
That's big.
Red Bulls playing at Nashville. You got Chicago playing at NYC, where they have never won. So
those are the 3 games right there.
Yeah, we need 2 of those 3 results to go our way, either draw or loss. So, and then we need to obviously win, which is going to be tough. So Johnny and I are going to get into the scenarios and whatnot tomorrow. We're going to continue the daily content here on Soccer Show. Thanks for everybody that's been here tonight. I only planned to go like 15, 20 minutes, but Chris, it's so fun talking to you that I just kept talking and talking. But tell me, just before we go away, what do you really think happens with Messi on Saturday night? Let's go out on that.
I think that Messi is going to play 20, 30 minutes. I think he's going to give the fans what they want, and that's a goal. And I think, I think that he'll probably score a goal. I mean, this guy walks like half the time. Messi. I got to fill my quota. And so at some point, I think he's going to score a goal, catch people slipping, and I think it's going to be a good time. Do I think you guys are going to win? I mean, do you want my prediction here or what? Like,
I mean, I'll take your. I don't care about your prediction, but you can certainly give it for sure. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what you think, but
yeah. I mean, I think that we're going to walk away with a win. It's going to be absolutely pointless. I mean, just to, I guess, leave on a high note or whatnot, just because of Messi. But other than that, honestly, I'd rather see you guys in the playoffs than a couple other teams, to be practically honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I would have to think, like, no one wants to see the Red Bulls in a playoff match at all. I think Montreal's got the inside track to get in either the 8 or 9. So no one really wants to see Chicago Fire. No one, NYC is a long shot. They would need like billions worth of help. So, but nobody wants Red Bull in the playoffs. Nobody likes New York Red Bull. They don't even like themselves.
Yeah, it's boring soccer anyway. But just so you know, Inter Miami has 2 players that are on Montreal that kind of might hurt you, which is Lassiter and Bryce Duke. So,
Duke,
there's an extended arm of Miami.
Duke was tough against us when we hosted Montreal earlier this year for sure. I liked Bryce Duke. But just complete side note, sorry for all the Charlotte fans, but I'm a huge like MLS fantasy nerd, and I follow Bryce Duke's career. Anybody that I'm big on in fantasy, I follow them on Instagram just so I can see what's going on. And it's got to be rough. Bryce Duke was killing the beach selfie game for a long time when he was in Miami, and it's got to suck for him that he went to Montreal and no longer can take all those beach selfies. That's got to suck. But
he's eating all kind of awesome food, though.
That's true. That's good food in Miami too. But Chris, I got to tell you, thank you so much for coming in. This has been really fun, and you were such a good guest that we went longer than expected. So hopefully we can return that favor. Yes. And good luck with Battered Herons. Like, you guys have a really cool network going. It was so fun being on your guys' show. You have a great community, and just keep building it. And I appreciate the kind thoughts. The fact that you want us to go into the playoffs, but you don't think we're going to make it. I can take that.
Yeah. A little bit in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So I thank you for joining. I appreciate everybody on the stream for commenting and making us feel like it was worth our while here. We're building something here in Charlotte. We may not know exactly what it looks like yet, but life is good. Getting really pumped about Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode in the podcast stream. Peace, y'all.